everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a story time video, and it is going to be about my labor and delivery. So if you are interested in hearing about it, just keep on watching. Okay, so this is my labor and delivery story for when I was pregnant with Liliana, and she is currently 8 months old, and she was born September 24th. So all of this that I'm about to tell you happened September 23rd of 2015. And I did take some notes just because when I tell stories, I tend to be really scatterbrained and I don't want to tell you one part of the story out of order. So just bear with me if I keep looking down. Okay, so I believe it was a Friday. I was having contractions, but I was uncertain whether or not I was going to go in and get checked. I had an appointment that following Monday, but something told me that no, you should probably go and get checked just to make sure you're not in labor or early labor. Just go and get checked. So I packed up my son and I was going to bring him to my mom's house, and she only lives like 5 minutes away from the hospital that I was going to be delivering at. So my plans for the day was I was going to go to the hospital, get checked out. I was almost certain that they were going to send me home. So I left my bags at home, didn't bring anything with me. I brought my laundry because our dryer went at this time, so I had to dry my clothes at the laundromat, and I also had to go grocery shopping. So these were my plans. I was planning on getting out of the hospital and going to take care of all these things before I did go into labor. So it was probably about 2:30 or so that I went in. And if you've ever had to go and get monitored for a pregnancy, they hook you up to the monitor and then you sit there for like an hour or two and they monitor your contractions, the baby's heartbeat, all of that stuff. So it's probably like an hour goes by and the nurse comes in and checks the scan. She said, oh, well, it looks like you're having contractions about every 5 minutes or so. And at this point, I was at the hospital. I noticed that my contractions were getting more and more frequent, but I didn't know that the machine was gonna pick them up because they didn't feel like actual contractions. It was just tightening and then it would let go, and it wasn't very long. But she said that the machine was reading that they were about 30 seconds to 45 seconds long, but it didn't feel that long to me. So they monitor me there for another hour, and my contractions are anywhere between 5 minutes, and then they kind of spaced out to 10 to 13 minutes apart, and then they jumped to 3 minutes apart. So I was just kind of all over the place with that. Sorry if the lighting was bad, like the first 5 minutes of this video. I just noticed that the light was on, but it wasn't shining on me. So hopefully the lighting is better if it was dark. Anyways, back to the story. So after I was there for about 2 hours, the doctor that was on call comes in, and this was a new doctor. She started there in August, but I've only seen her once or twice. And I originally wanted the doctor who delivered my son to deliver this baby just because she knows my past history and my complications, and I just felt like we were on the same page. And I didn't really know this lady and I wasn't too comfortable with her yet, but the doctor that I wanted to deliver my baby was on call the following day, so I thought, perfect, I'll just hold her until then. So she asks me, well, what would you like to do? Your contractions are about 5 minutes apart, and then sometimes they're 13 minutes apart. We can admit you now and give you Pitocin if you need it. If we need your contractions to start getting more frequent, we can do that, and we can get the ball rolling. And I was like, yes, let's do that. Because she said, I have a feeling that if we send you home, you're going to be back here tonight. And the hospital, I don't think I mentioned it, but the hospital is about a half hour to 35 minutes away from my house. So it is a decent drive. So we fill out all the paperwork and she gets me into my room and I'm admitted. So I call my mom and I tell her what's going on. And in the meantime, I'm trying to text Aaron's mom saying, hey, I'm at the hospital. I might be having a baby soon. Please message me back. And I didn't hear from her all day. So initially I was kind of panicking because that's where my son was going when I was having this baby, but he was with my mom right now. So finally she calls me and says, I'm so sorry, my phone was off, yada, yada, yada. But have your mom bring him by the house and, we'll take care of everything. So that is what happened. And I had my mom drive to my house and get my hospital bag because I didn't have it. I really thought that I was just going home and that I would just have my appointment on Monday. So it's finally about 7 o'clock and my mom finally gets there. I have my mom call Erin at work and I told her to let whoever answers the phone to let Erin know that I am being admitted to the hospital and we are having a baby soon. So that is what she did, and then I think it was probably like 7:30, 8 o'clock, Aaron calls me, asks me what's up. He says, well, how many centimeters are you? I said, well, I'm still just 3 centimeters. I don't know if I mentioned that I was also 3 centimeters when I first came in. So in like the 5 hours, I still haven't made any progress cervically. So he says, okay, well, I am going to try to finish out my shift and then I'll be there right after. Because he thought that if he left mid-shift, that would count as one of his days off. And he only had 10 days to be with me and the new baby. But it worked out fine and he was able to get off work and it just counted as like a sick leave. So it didn't count as a day off. So before I got Pitocin, the doctor wanted to do an ultrasound just to make sure that the baby was head down in the right position, and she wanted to check for breathing movements, which is just the baby practicing breathing. So the ultrasound probably took about 20 minutes just because the baby wasn't practicing breathing. She wasn't satisfied enough with that, and she just wanted to make sure that she was healthy enough for a vaginal delivery. So she was head down, but she was flipped sunny side up, I think is what they call it, where they would come out looking at the ceiling when I believe they're supposed to come looking face down. I might have that reversed, but I think that's right. So she said, what we can do is when you're pushing, we can try to gently turn her. And it works for about half of babies, but if we can't get her turned and she gets stuck, we're gonna have to do a C-section. And at that point I was like, okay, well, whatever we have to do to get her here safely, obviously. So right after the ultrasound, they gave me Pitocin, and about 15 to 20 minutes later, Erin showed up. And once I got the Pitocin, it was like immediate pain, and the contractions were coming much more stronger and much more frequently. And if you've ever had Pitocin, it is terrible and it is so painful. With Xander, my contractions were never super painful. Like, I was always able to just close my eyes and breathe through them and they were fine. But with Lily, this pregnancy, oh my gosh, like I was moaning in pain and I couldn't take it anymore. I don't know, maybe like an hour or so passes, I get up to go to the bathroom and the nurse comes with me because I have an IV already started because I was getting Pitocin and whatnot. And I asked her, I was like, can I get the epidural? I am in so much pain right now. And she's like, oh, well, you're still only like 3 to 4 centimeters and the epidural can slow down labor a lot of times. So why don't we try to wait? And I was just like, I need this epidural. I cannot do any more contractions in this pain. Like, I'm not gonna make it. And she goes, oh, okay, well, I'll ask the doctor and see what she says. And the doctor's like, oh yeah, just give it to her. So I was like, yes. So they called the anesthesiologist and he was probably like 5 or 10 minutes away. And he said, okay, I'll be there soon. And I was like, no, you need to get here now. I am in a lot of pain. And if you've never had a contraction before, it feels like the worst menstrual cramp mixed with the worst gas pain you could possibly ever imagine. So I am trying to find positions to get comfortable in. And I finally decide, you know what? I'm just gonna sit in the recliner and wait until he gets here. Well, about 5 minutes of sitting in the recliner, I hear a big pop and my water breaks in the recliner. Thankfully, they had like a little like pad underneath me, but my water broke, which was great because if it didn't break on its own, they were gonna have to go in with a hook and break your water. So finally, around midnight, the anesthesiologist comes in and he sets up my epidural. So we finally get the epidural placed and I am feeling 100 times better. So the nurse comes in, this is probably about like 12:45 now, so I've had the epidural successfully placed for about 20 minutes or so. And she said, okay, well, we're gonna get your catheter started because you're not allowed to get out of bed because obviously your legs are numb, so you're not able to move. So she said, well, okay, well, we're gonna place this catheter. And I was like, I'm feeling a lot of pressure right now. She goes, oh, where are you feeling pressure? Where do you think I'm feeling pressure? So they check me and she goes, I think that's the baby's head. You're at 10 centimeters. What? No, No, I need to get a good night's sleep before I have a newborn baby in my life, before I push, before all of this happens. I need sleep. So she has the other nurse check, and she's like, yeah, there's no cervix here. You're ready to push. Huh? Already? So they go and wake up the doctor and let them know that I am ready to push. Now, she spent the night there. This is a really small hospital, and there's only 4 doctors there. Well, just 4 doctors in the OB unit. So they woke her up, and she's like, all right, well, let's do this. Ready for action. So they get everything ready. You know, they turn on the baby warmer and get like all the, you know, she like lays out the pile of tools. Like, you got like knives, scissors, just everything you can imagine, and it's really terrifying. So I tried not to look, but she got everything ready, and she's like, okay, well, let's, you know, give me a push. So I push, and she's like, oh yeah, the baby's right there. I only had to push 4 times, and at 1:18, Liliana was born on September 24th, 2015. Also, she was able to successfully turn her around so she was coming out in the right position. We did talk about a C-section before, because with my first labor, I ended up with a 4th degree tear and in the OR like 20 minutes after he was born to get repaired. So I was really afraid that that was going to happen this time. We did talk about it beforehand. They did give me the option to have a C-section and not have to go through the labor process at all, because if I had another 4th degree tear, that would just be really bad. Sorry guys, my camera is just about to die, but I just wanted to share with you my labor and delivery experience. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.